Alright. Continuing in Abzu, and I know that, it would have been several days ago now, but the reason why I waited to stop the previous recording is so that I would see a change in the heart rate monitor. It makes it easier to find the end of the data. Ow! Hey, something right there. Reminds me of something. The fact that it's a source, so in theory, a dinosaur, or at least was named like a dinosaur. That the whole, I have got a certain issue with the dinosaurs evolved into the birds. It's like, okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem there. It's the whole, someone like, yes, when you look at a chicken, remember, that used to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think a Tyrannosaurus Rex would have evolved down that much in size. I could see some of the raptors, though. Like, the Velociraptor was actually a small thing. It was already kind of bird-like in size. I could see that developing into a chicken. Not the Jurassic Park kind of Velociraptors. Those are monstrously large for what raptors most likely were. But it still is kind of wild, isn't it? Some of the idea, because it's still so many of them are depicted where they have teeth, they have jaws. Birds have beaks. Some dinosaurs had beaks, yes, but it's like, okay, wouldn't those be the ones that evolved into the birds, not these that already had evolved teeth? And would they have then evolved to have the beaks? Then but why wouldn't it just be the ones with beaks already had that adaptation, therefore achieve the dominance to become birds? I mean, it's... And I have a feeling that some of it is just the way I've been taught this stuff is inadequate, where it's like, yes, that's a T-Rex. It's like, no, it's not. It makes no sense that a T-Rex would become that. It's one of those, going back to the first part where I talked some about the fiction. It's like, you gotta make this stuff believable. You have to actually... That is part of it, genuinely, also with doing the science fiction. Well, really any fiction, is making sure it makes sense. Because it's fiction. So obviously you're making some of it up, but it needs to be reasonable enough that if somebody stops and thinks about it, it's like, okay, yeah, that's how it works. Versus just hand-wavy, it's doing this. And I feel like some of the the dinosaurs became the birds is a little hand-wavy. If you just leave it at that. Or if you do start saying things like, yes, the T-Rex, it's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Other dinosaurs make more sense, so I'm good with that. But it is like, let's actually try to have that explanation somewhere. Oh, I never started the timer. No. Because, I mean, it's just... The T-Rex is so radically a different form from birds. That's why it doesn't make sense to me. But there are others that are much closer to birds that it's like, okay, I can see how that can progress. That would also be neat, and I don't think I've ever seen that, is how exactly the first mammals, like, where did they come from? Because I know it's been suggested, at least, I don't know how true it is, that the first mammals were like mice-like things that would have appeared shortly before the dinosaurs' extinction. Like, they did coexist for a while, but they would have been these small mouse-like things. It's like, okay, I'm not sure how you get from a mouse to a monkey. But still, say, how did that evolve? What was the precursor to that? Was it there was some reptile that was already that small and just it developed the whole warm blood, four-chamber heart, and all that. And also the whole giving birth to live young kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that really distinguishes mammals from reptiles, and it's like, how do we get all that? At one point I did see something being talked about, that evolution is so often depicted as being like a very slow process and very deliberate. But there are some that have a competing theory that no, evolution can actually happen in bursts, where you have a lot of things suddenly happening all at the same time. Like those differences between reptiles and mammals I was just listing off. It's like if reptiles were dominant, then you'd expect, at the time, you'd expect that mammals would have to have developed from them. Not some other species that wasn't dominant in some way. But it is if it were just a bunch of sudden changes that all happen at approximately the same time. That does make more sense. For some of the really wild things that there are in nature. But yeah, evolution though is definitely one of those kind of interesting things, because people will try to use that to say that, see, there's no creator. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but how did these adaptations actually come to be? Like, how is it that we somehow got from that to this, and it all makes sense? Like, it is just a funny thing where it's like, there's still so much that evolution doesn't explain, but people will still use it as like a club on people to say, oh no, you're so stupid. It's like, okay, how did this actually develop though? And so, like, the best example that I can think of would be emergence. And typically that's associated with intelligence, but it could also just be life. How is it that you got from just basic chemistry to life forms that actually have some awareness? Like, it's because even a lot of plants, okay, like plant life, there's a lot of that is creepy. Or no, not creepy, freaky is the word I mean. I'm serious. There's some plant life that's really freaky with what it does. Where it's like, yeah, this is not just basic chemistry unfolding. There is actually some kind of intelligence to plants. And you can also see that with things like how playing different kinds of music can promote growth in a plant. It's like, why does a plant enjoy Beethoven more than death metal? I was like, that's certainly not a chemistry thing. It enjoying Beethoven at all is not a chemistry thing. How does this make any sense? Getting a drink of water, by the way. So there is just, how do you emerge from chemistry to life? But also there's emergence as far as how do we have intelligence? How did that come to be a thing? Or I think that it might be better to describe it as superintelligence that humans have. Just for those that'd be like, oh, but like dolphins are really intelligent too. It's like, yeah, not in any way the same form of intelligence humans have. So it's just like, to avoid that argument, it's like, no, we're super intelligent. They're fine. They're intelligent, but we're super intelligent. How did that come to be? It's like, that also evolution doesn't explain. Or at least it hasn't explained it yet. No explanation, no purely scientific explanation has been developed for that stuff yet. And it's like, you kind of have to figure that one out with some of this. And I'm not saying oh, there must be a creator. I'm just saying that it's why are you ruling that out when at least that does answer those questions? might not like that that you might not like those answers, but it's like it is an answer. You can't claim that with evolution at the moment. Oh, cool. I can bust him now. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. Yes, this must be the final part, which means I'll need to get Left 4 Dead at some point. I might not do it today. I might wait for next weekend. Or actually, I could do something on Tuesday. This is July 2nd, July 4th, I have the day off, so I could do some more recordings then. Now, one thing I will grant, evolution certainly can explain. I was tempted to say does, but I'm going to leave it at can for the time being. Is how you do have things like sharks have been around for hundreds of millions of years. And it's like, well, yeah, they are very they're very efficient creatures. So evolution does explain that, where it's like, they don't need to be changed to continue surviving as they do. Now, that's not to say that they're not still evolving, but the changes might be subtle enough that they're not fully different species over millions of years even. Then at the same time, you do have various variants of sharks. Like, you know, the hammerhead is certainly different from a great white, which it seems our friend here is based on. And I'm pretty sure that those are different species of shark, not like different breeds. That actually is a valid question and an interesting one to consider. Can dogs evolve anymore? I think that one could make an argument, and not that I know evolutionary biology well, but I could see an argument that dogs cannot evolve anymore because by being pets, they no longer have a need to adapt. That any changes from them might not actually qualify as evolution. I could see an argument there. Wild dogs would, but not domesticated dogs. It's like wolves can still evolve, and indeed dogs evolved from wolves, but they evolved from it because we domesticated them. And does that domestication mean that they do not really get to evolve anymore? As I think about it now, it's like that actually seems reasonable. That because it removes the pressure to adapt, any adaptations that do come, such as how we do breed some specifically for certain tasks, is not really evolution anymore. Because it's not occurring for an adaptation for the species per se, but for just our preference. It's like, yeah, we want them better for hunting for us. It's like, but would these other breeds that have not evolved for hunting, does that mean that they can't hunt? No, they can probably still hunt just fine. They're just not necessarily as good at it as hounds are. I'm just trying to think what would be a good example of that. Like, I want to say a corgi, but I think corgis are technically actually related to a hound. Like, they have the capability of going after rodents. And now I also have the image in my mind, a pack of wild corgis. I mean, sort of like how it's kind of amusing thought with cattle as well, like the dairy cow, the beef cow, how those have been so domesticated. Can you actually have any that are truly wild? It's like, technically, yes. If they escape and are in the wild, they will be able to survive. They will be able to figure that out. They do still have sufficient animal instincts for that. But it's... Alright, yeah, that is the end. But yeah, it is just kind of... But that's also kind of the same thing. It's like, can any adaptations, a dairy cow... Am I still... Oh, I am still in control. Cool. Can any adaptations there count as evolution anymore? I mean, it's just... And it is a question of semantics. Absolutely. A question of semantics. I'm not pretending it isn't. But I do think that is an interesting philosophical question. Is if the need to adapt is gone, but adaptation still occurs, does it still count as evolution? I'm just going in circles now. Knew somebody in high school who she played the viola. I do kind of wonder what some of the... I don't know how much I've never been invited to a high school reunion, but I do kind of wonder what some of them have, some of the old friends have turned up to doing. Partly it would also be just like what of the relationships that were in high school continued on and proved successful. Like, she was dating a friend of mine from... Did I know him in middle school, or was it just early in high school I got to know him? I don't know. But it would be nice to know, like, if that proved successful and they got married or not. But it is just a curiosity. Plus, I don't know how much I'd want to do a high school reunion kind of thing, just for the whole, I wouldn't say I've achieved much. Some, yeah, but I don't think many would care. And also, some of it I wouldn't want to talk about. Alright, well, that was Abzu. I just wham through the shark. Start enter? Okay, space enter. Wait. No. It says start to escape? Okay. I've not had a controller plugged in the entire time I've been playing it. It gives me a controller prompt. Okay. And that's the very end. So, okay. So that means I did like these 3 in one part, then these 3 in another, and then these 2? Or, no. These 3 are the ones I just did. Okay. Yeah, it looks like I will have to do Left 4 Dead. Which is fine. I enjoy Left 4 Dead. Yeah, now I am just... What? What do I have these? Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I might end up regretting this to a degree, but I'll still do it. Oh, those could... Well, I don't know. Just the Ubisoft games. Was it in this part or was it a previous part? Where it occurred to me they could work. Alright, I'm just looking at what else I got here. And I do think I know what I want to do next. Yeah. So yeah, add to body game. So I'll do that next. Not exactly a horror game, but that's okay. They don't all need to be horror games. I mean, this one wasn't, and I do think that it went well. It's will provoke any kind of reaction. But even then, I don't think it's really necessary to provoke a reaction with the heart rate, especially because I've gotten so used to horror games, I don't think my heart rate reacts too much anymore. But it still can be interesting to just see what all occurs. And to be able to track and see. So yeah. That should... I think the ones I just threw on the list will be good. I do need to add some others on that. Oh, I forgot I have that on there. I'll actually mention this one. Death Stranding I put on here. It's like, yeah, that does make some sense. And that does have some horror elements in there, I believe. And it's like, I can see it working there, but that would definitely it wouldn't be quite as non-stressful as this. But I think that it would make some sense. I am also seeing one where it's like, why don't I have Dead Island on the list? Why do I not have Dead Island 2? Seriously? Oh, no, there, okay. That's right, Dead Island 2 is a different game. It was Dead Island Riptide. That's the one where it's like, I know I have that. Why is it on the list? It is now. It is now. Oh, yeah, there's that too. That's right, I did go through a week or two ago. Actually, it would have been like 2-3 weeks. And add more onto the list. Was like, yeah, that should be on the list. Why isn't it? Yeah, that'll be fun. But I think I don't know what I'll do next, but it is definitely I got 96 games on here. Some of them would be just gaze tracker, but some should work for heart rate as well. And some are also just I want an excuse to play them. I have no problem admitting that, none at all. All right, well that is it. That is it. I shall see you next time, which will be Left 4 Dead. And actually, what is next? Crash Course. That is the next one in there. Okay. All right. See you then.